The story of tipping, a gesture of gratitude, now a forced obligation. Have you ever seen a restaurant hand you the bill before you've even taken your first bite? Or booked a cab only to find a message saying, "Add a tip now to get a faster pickup"? Imagine a world where "thank you" isn't a choice, but something that's pre-deducted from your pocket before the service even begins. That's the story of a silent pressure that has now become the tip, once a symbol of gratitude, now an expected obligation. Uber's new advanced tip feature hasn't just left customers frustrated, it's shaken the very foundation of consumer rights. And today, we are diving deep into this issue. But before we begin, if you are new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe so you always get the latest updates first. Now, let's get started. In Uber's latest app update, users are now being prompted to add an advance tip of 50, 75, or 100 rupees before booking a ride. The message reads, "Add a tip for faster pickup." A tip may motivate the driver to accept your ride more quickly. And it clearly states that once added, the tip cannot be changed. This has put passengers in an uncomfortable position, making them feel that without tipping upfront, their ride may be delayed or even rejected. What was once a gesture of appreciation after good service is now a psychological nudge, bordering on coercion. This pay-to-prioritize model has sparked a heated debate in the digital services sector. Many users are calling it digital blackmail, and the backlash on social media has been sharp. Union Minister of Consumer Affairs, 𝐟𝐨𝐥𝐿 Joshi, openly condemned this feature, calling it unethical and exploitative on X. He stated that not only is it an unfair business practice, but it also puts undue pressure on consumers, undermining the fairness of service delivery. The Central Consumer Protection Authority, CCPA, has issued a notice to Uber seeking an explanation. But an even bigger question looms: has tipping stopped being a choice? Has it now become a compulsion? And what's most intriguing is, where did this now controversial practice even begin? Let's take a journey to its roots. The tradition of tipping is believed to have started in 16th to 17th century Europe, especially in England. During that time, the wealthy would give extra money to servants or workers to ensure faster and better service. The word tip is said to have originated as an acronym for "to ensure promptness." Over time, this practice became mainstream and the word tip became a part of cultural norms across societies. And yet, centuries later, what began as a voluntary gesture of appreciation is now at risk of turning into a mandatory fee, a shift that challenges the very essence of consumer freedom. By the 18th century, tipping had become a common practice in cafes, restaurants, and coffee houses in Britain and France. However, it wasn't always viewed positively. Many critics believed that tipping reinforced social inequality. To them, it became a way for the wealthy to assert their superiority over the poor. In that era, humility in service was often mistaken for servitude, and a tip began to resemble more of an act of pity than gratitude. In the United States, the tipping culture exploded after the Civil War in the 19th century, when slavery was abolished. Restaurant and hotel owners started paying workers minimal base wages, assuming that customers would make up the rest through tips. Over time, this system became deeply rooted in American culture, and by the 20th century, tipping 15 to 20% in restaurants, taxis, and salons had become a widely accepted social norm. Even today in the US, tipping is not just expected, it often feels mandatory. But even there, tipping remains controversial. Critics argue that it allows business owners to underpay workers, shifting the burden of fair compensation to customers. Some restaurant owners pay such low base wages that employees' livelihoods are entirely dependent on tips. This, in turn, creates a pressure on customers, they often feel compelled to tip, regardless of service quality. When it comes to Asia, the tradition of tipping has never been deeply rooted. In countries like Japan and South Korea, tipping is often seen as unusual or even disrespectful. There, service is considered an integral part of one's job, and the cultural belief is that doing one's work sincerely is the highest responsibility. Any additional monetary exchange between a customer and a service provider is viewed as compromising the purity and dignity of the profession. In China, tipping is slowly becoming common but remains largely restricted to tourist hotspots, and even there, it is a practice that arrived with Western tourists. In contrast, some parts of the Middle East and Southeast Asia are beginning to adopt tipping, but it is still mostly voluntary. In India, the tradition of tipping entered during the colonial era. Under British rule, hotel and club staff were given small amounts of money as bakshish. The word bakshish, derived from Persian, means gift. Over time, this practice spread to restaurants, hotels, and taxi services across the country. With the digital age and the rise of app-based cab services like Ola and Uber, tipping was introduced as a feature within the app. However, it remained voluntary and could only be added after the service was completed. But now, Uber's advanced tip feature appears to shift this sentiment entirely. For the first time, customers are being prompted to pay before the service, and that too under a subtle psychological pressure, signaling a shift from gratitude to expectation. This model has instilled a growing fear among consumers that if they don't add a tip, their ride may either be rejected or delayed. It's beginning to feel like service is no longer a right, but a bidding war where those who pay more get served faster. Uber has been in controversy before. In January 2025, the CCPA issued notices to both Uber and Ola after it was revealed that iOS users were being charged more than Android users for the same routes. This was termed differential pricing, and it was seen as a violation of consumer rights. That's why now, every new strategy by Uber is being viewed with suspicion. Today, the biggest question is, has the concept of tipping shifted from a gesture of private gratitude to a tool of pressure? Are consumer rights becoming weaker against the arbitrary tactics of digital platforms? And despite government warnings, will companies continue to exploit consumer emotions and needs for their own gain? These are questions that go beyond just one feature or one company. They strike at the heart of fairness in the digital economy. This entire issue cannot be resolved simply by a response from Uber. It demands a broader public discourse, one where we collectively decide that expressing gratitude for a service should be a personal choice, not a psychological obligation. In a democratic and diverse society like India, every consumer should have the freedom to evaluate a service independently and tip only if and when they feel it's appropriate. Moreover, the government must strengthen consumer protection through stricter laws and a more active monitoring mechanism. As promising as the digital economy is, it also opens the door to new forms of exploitation. In this environment, awareness, transparency, and accountability must become the three pillars that uphold consumer rights. So the next time an app asks for a tip before providing the service, ask yourself, is this truly a thank you or just pressure? And then make your choice, because today, tipping is no longer just about money, it's about principle.
If this video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.